AITA for refusing to give my lottery winnings to my family after they excluded me from a family trip. I, 28F, grew up in what most people would consider a normal family. 2 parents, 2 siblings, and a relatively stable upbringing. But if you ask me, normal was never the right word. I always felt like I was an extra piece in a puzzle where everyone else fit perfectly together. My older brother, 30M, and younger sister, 25F, were, and still are, the golden children. My parents doted on them, celebrated their achievements like they were winning Nobel Prizes, and went out of their way to make them feel special. Me? I was the kid who got a good job when I graduated with honors, and a "why can't you be more like your brother" when I struggled. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't mistreated in a glaringly obvious way, but the favoritism was always there, simmering under the surface. For example, when I was 16, I worked hard to save up for a used car. My parents were proud enough to chip in a little, but when my brother turned 16, he got a brand new car as a gift. When I asked why he got such special treatment, I was told, he's the eldest. It's different. It was always different when it came to them, but I learned to live with it. Over time, I built a thick skin and stopped expecting too much. I focused on myself, my studies, my career, and my own happiness. A few months ago, I saw on Instagram that my family was on a luxurious vacation overseas. My sister was posting all these photos, fancy dinners, beautiful beaches, and captions like, "Family trips are the best 2 hearts." I felt a familiar sting in my chest. I hadn't heard a word about this trip, so I texted my mom to ask why I wasn't included. Her reply was short and to the point. "We didn't think you'd want to come, and besides, we were tight on budget." Tight on budget? Are you kidding me? They could afford a 2-week European getaway, but somehow, they couldn't find room for me? And the excuse that I wouldn't want to come? Sure, I'm not as close to them as my siblings are, but I would have loved the opportunity to reconnect. It hurt, but I swallowed my pride and let it go. It wasn't worth the fight. Fast forward to about a month ago, and life threw me a curveball. On a random Tuesday, I bought a lottery ticket. I don't usually play. It's not something I've ever thought I'd win, but I had a few bucks to spare and thought, why not? Well, somehow, I hit the jackpot. Over $2 million. Even now, it doesn't feel real. I did the responsible thing. Hired a financial advisor, paid off my debts, set up investments, and put aside some money for future expenses. I didn't tell anyone at first because I wanted to keep things private while I figured out how to handle it. I did splurge a little. I bought myself a new car. Nothing flashy, but it was a step up from the 10-year-old clunker I'd been driving. The car is what tipped them off. I drove to a family dinner in it, and the question started immediately. My sister was the first to ask, "Whoa, how can you afford this?" My brother joked, "Finally got a sugar daddy." Classic. My dad chimed in, saying, "Keeping secrets, huh?" I felt cornered, so I admitted it. I'd won the lottery. At first, they were stunned. My mom gasped, my sister's eyes widened, and my dad muttered, "You're joking." But once the shock wore off, the demand started rolling in. My mom was the first to bring it up. She pulled me aside later that night and said, "It's selfish to keep all that money to yourself when your family is struggling." I asked her what she meant by struggling. They just got back from a European vacation. She brushed it off, saying that was planned months ago and they'd had to stretch their budget to make it happen. She hinted that I could help ease their financial burden by sharing the money. My sister wasn't subtle either. She said, "You know, I've been drowning in student loans. You could change my life by paying them off." My brother didn't even try to be polite. He straight up asked me to buy him a house. I was floored. Suddenly, everyone had a handout, acting like my money was theirs to claim. I told them I wasn't planning to give away the money. I explained that I had plans for it, paying off debts, investing, and building a secure future. I reminded them that I worked hard to be where I am, and just because I got lucky doesn't mean I owe them a thing. When they pushed harder, I finally snapped. I brought up the vacation and how I wasn't even invited. I told them how much it hurt to see them bonding without me. And now that I have something they want, they're suddenly interested in me. My mom's response? That was different. We didn't think it was a big deal. My dad chimed in. This isn't about the past. This is about family. They didn't seem to understand that their actions had consequences. I told them that if they treated me like family all along, maybe I'd feel differently. But I wasn't going to let them guilt trip me into giving away money just because we shared DNA. Since then, it's been a nightmare. My mom has been calling me almost daily, alternating between guilt trips and outright anger. She's told me I'm selfish, ungrateful, and ruining the family dynamic. My sister posted a passive-aggressive Instagram story about how money changes people and how greed ruins relationships. My brother sent me a long text saying I'm an ungrateful brat and that he hopes I enjoy being alone with all my money. Even extended family members are weighing in now. My mom's been spreading her version of the story, painting me as the villain who abandoned her family for a quick buck. I'll admit, the guilt is getting to me. Part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh. It's not like I need all this money, and maybe sharing some of it could be a way to repair our relationship. But then I remember all the times they made me feel like an outsider. All the family dinners I wasn't invited to. All the birthdays and milestones they brushed off. I've spent years trying to earn their approval, and it never worked. Why should I have to buy their love now? So, Reddit, AITA for standing my ground? Should I be the bigger person and share my winnings? Or am I right to finally put myself first?